I am Curran Bhatia, joined by Jeovanny Estela. Giovanni is fighting on July 15th against Aaron McKenna. This is going to be for the ultimate $1 million prize in the tournament going down in Japan, but we'll get into all of that. But first of all, Giovanni, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. I'm excited to talk to you. You're 23 years old, 14-0, 5 wins by knockout. So an up and coming fighter in this game. Obviously, you're looking to make your name, and this opportunity on July 15th is going to be a huge opportunity to do so. But let's talk a little bit about your background. As we mentioned, only 23 years old. I know you started boxing at age 8. And you're located in Orlando, Florida. You're representing BoxLab Promotions.
Yeah.
For people who don't know your story, tell us a little bit about your story, how you got into boxing, and everything you've achieved up to this point.
So I was always an athlete, and boxing came to me naturally. It wasn't pushed on me from my father, from my parents, or anything like that. It ran in the family. My father and my uncle used to be amateur boxers, and no, my dad used to come back from work, and he would be hitting the bag in the gym and stuff like that. In the back of our house, we had a heavy bag. He used to hit the bag and stuff. And me, as a 4 or 5 year old kid, I used to see that, and I wanted to try to do it. And 6 years old, I would try. He would put little tape marks for me to start doing it and stuff. But my first time in the gym was around 8, 9 years old, and I was doing basketball at that time as well. I used to do basketball, soccer, and I fell in love with boxing from the first day. And we kept going. Now, 15 years later, we did 78 amateur fights, #1 in Florida in the region for the last 5 years of my amateur career. And as a professional, now we're 14-0, moving to 15.
And obviously that 15th fight that we're going to talk about is a big step in your career, and we'll get to that.
Sure.
Tell me about you mentioned your dad. He's your trainer, and obviously, those relationships can always be interesting, right? They can go one way or another. In terms of a father and son, we've seen so many of those in boxing. So what is the relationship like between you and your dad?
The relationship with me and my father is like no other. It's amazing. We've had our ups and downs for sure as a teenager growing up and stuff. 9 years old, 10 years old, and then it was fun when I was 9 to 11. Then when it started getting serious and we started going to tournaments and started me in middle school having to wake up at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning to do my miles and then go to school. No, that's when it wasn't fun anymore. It started getting serious. So we cut out the basketball, cut out baseball that I was also doing. And we started taking boxing very seriously. And that, I want to say 2 to 3 years in to taking it very seriously, yeah, we were #1 in our weight division, in our age group. And everything was going smoothly. We went 16-2 on one of the years in terms of fighting. And no, now as a professional, we both understand each other very well. We've worked with each other for 15 years. So it's easy now.
And obviously, you've come a long way and a long way to go with your father leading you into battle. And that's going to be, I'm sure, the same on July 15th and as you go forward. I know that you have the background. You live in Orlando,
Yeah.
but you're representing Puerto Rico. We know that Puerto Rico has had so many different champions throughout the years, whether it be Cotto, Trinidad, so many others, so many great fighters nowadays too, as well. Amanda Serrano, Xander Zayas, so many others. Tell me a little bit about, your Puerto Rican roots and how you want to emulate some of those fighters that came before you.
I'm very happy to be Puerto Rican. I'm very lucky to be Puerto Rican. I would say for myself. And no, my family and my heritage means a lot. So me living up to those names that you just announced, me sparring with some of those names. So I've sparred with Xander Zayas. I've done a couple camps with him. He's a very good friend of mine, and he's helped me get ready for some of my past fights and vice versa. And no, family is everything. Going to Japan with me, I got a total of 11 family members coming with me. So they're taking the flight out, whether it's from Orlando or from Puerto Rico. And no, it ran in the family. My father was a boxer, and he was Puerto Rican, and my uncle as well. He won Golden Gloves here twice in Florida.
So you have that boxing family, that boxing heritage. You mentioned sparring with Xander Zayas. So now next time I see him, I'll have to ask him, but I'm going to ask you first. Who got the best of the sparring session there?
So in the sparring sessions, it's always work. So some days he'll do amazing, and some days I'll do a little bit better. Some days, so it's always about helping each other out and helping each other with everybody, each one of our flaws. So he helps me out a lot. Training with him and Centeno in that camp was amazing, and we also had another 154 pounder named Abbas that was helping us in that camp as well. He's the European champ.
So you obviously have a good team around you, good sparring partners. You mentioned the family that's going to be accompanying you on this trip to Japan. You've linked up with BoxLab Promotions, and we've seen what Amari Pedra and the other great folks at BoxLab Promotions have done, especially in the Florida area at Caribe Royale and elsewhere. What made you decide to link up with BoxLab Promotions, and how is it going so far?
It's going amazing. BoxLab Promotions have been throwing the best cards in Orlando, the best cards I would say in Florida for sure. And it's become BoxLab Promotions has become the big over the years has become the big promotion here in Florida. Everybody wants to fight on their card, whether it's on a DAZN card, a Matchroom card. They get the eyes, they get the people in the seats, and I've been lucky that it's in my hometown. It's in my best interest, and we put butts in the seats when we do fight over here. Out of my 14, I want to say 11 or 12 have been uh, in the Caribe Royale at home, and the support over there is tremendous. The way they have it set up, they did the Jake Paul card, no, the Amanda Serrano fight here, and it was super packed. So this is definitely the mecca of boxing in Florida.
BoxLab Promotions, Caribe Royale, Amari Pedro is certainly doing big things in the world of boxing, certainly making a splash, and a lot of young talent on the roster, and that includes yourself. Yeah. So your next challenge, we talked about, it's the prize fighter tournament. This is going to be 8 fighters at middleweight, and the grand prize is $1 million. So obviously for a fighter of your level, that's a lot of money at this point in your career. So it's a big opportunity. So tell me about, how did you get involved in the prize fighter tournament? How did it all come together?
So the prize fighter tournament was announced to me after one of my fights, one of my last recent fights. It was September 23rd, and I did a very good outing on a Matchroom card with Eddie Hearn present, Kevin Rooney present, and a bunch of the other Matchroom team. And it was a very dominant performance against a step-up opponent of 6 wins, 6 knockouts, and only 1 loss. And we took him out first round within the 2-minute mark, and it went viral over the internet. Then they wanted to see another fight, and that one was against 11 wins, 11 knockouts, and 2 losses, and that one was another first round knockout. So the opportunity was given to me by my team, BoxLab Promotions and Matchroom, intertwined them talking to each other. And when we heard about the opportunity, it was something that we could definitely not pass up. I'm the only representative for USA and for Puerto Rico.
You're representing USA, Puerto Rico, and you fought a lot of times at Caribe Royale in Orlando. Yeah. You're going to now be flying to Japan for this. Yes. So this is going to be different. Where's your mindset at on flying halfway across the world? It's obviously going to be a change. So where's your mind at on this?
So I'm excited. I'm anxious to get over there, and my mind is going to be in business mode and work, because this is my job. So I get over there. We got to acclimate to the time over there. To the time is completely opposite of ours. So accustomed to their time, accustomed to their training times as well. And we've been doing that the last 2 weeks. We've been training earlier at 3 a.m, 4 a.m. For when we go over there, it's not that much of a change. But definitely, I would say the acclimation is going to be the most important. Luckily, it's hot over there as well. I'm used to the heat over here, so that's going to help as well.
And, part of a young fighter like yourself, part of what you want to do is challenge yourself in other environments and get out of your comfort zone. You're only 23 years old. So is that an added benefit here, right? You've been fighting in Orlando. You're from Orlando. But now you get to learn a little bit more about yourself. Are you looking forward to learning a little bit more about yourself in that way?
I am. Even with the fights at home, there's been certain adversities in different fights that have shown me more about myself that I didn't know before going into that fight, or before getting a headbutt. I had 13 stitches here, and that released a monster that I didn't know I had. Winning that fight, but definitely there's always adversity, whether it's in the training camp or in the fight, and I think this getting out of my comfort zone, as you said, going to Japan, going to a whole new scenery. The people are different. The traditions are different. The scenery is going to be amazing.
And I'm sure this is going to be I know this is your first time fighting in Japan. Is this also your first time going to the country of Japan?
For sure. This is definitely the first time going to Japan, definitely the first time fighting, but it's not going to be the last.
And so this will be a huge opportunity for you with a whole new group of fans that are there in attendance, and obviously all the people that are tuning in for the prize fighter tournament. We know what's on the line there, $1 million prize. So you're taking on Aaron McKenna, who's 18-0, undefeated, 9 wins by knockout, only 24 years old, representing Ireland. So both of you guys are undefeated, both very much in your prime. What do you know about your opponent for July 15th?
He's a very well-rounded opponent. A little bit taller than me. I'm around 6'4", 6'1". He's around 6'2", 6'3", and he's a 160 fighter. He's been fighting. He's been campaigning in the 160 for a good amount of time now. This would be my first fight at 160. I would say it's my third because I fought over the 154 mark before. And no, I'm excited. I think the styles are going to clash very well. His push forward style, and he's a little bit bigger than me, longer than me, as I said. And normally it's the opposite way around. I'm the bigger person. So it's going to be a nice style fight to be war. There is going to be fireworks. It's going to be action.
You mentioned it's going to be action. So let me ask you this. On July 15th, how does the fight play out? Is there going to be a knockout?
So I never call a knockout. So the last two that were first round knockouts, I didn't mean for it to be a first round knockout. If the opportunity presents itself, I will definitely take the knockout. But we go for the win. So whether that be by points or by knockout, we go for the win. So if we're winning by points in the 6th round and the opportunity presents itself, we'll take it safely, and that's how we're gonna win. We're going to fight for the win.
You're fighting for the win. And like we said, this is more than just this fight, because this is part of the prize fighter tournament, and yes, the winner of that tournament gets $1 million first prize. So how much is that on your mind, that it's not just about this fight, this opportunity with so many eyeballs, but that $1 million prize is there at the end of this as well? How much is that playing a part in your mindset?
It's playing a big part in the training, in the preparation for it, just the mental factor of that end prize, that end goal. And I'm excited for it. I'm ready for it. This has been one of the best training camps I've had. And I'm excited to show the world, show that side of the world and the people tuning in what's all about, what I'm all about.
We spoke about Aaron McKenna and what he can bring to the ring. If he's listening to this when this is posted, what would be your message to Aaron McKenna?
So I don't have a message for him because we're gonna see each other in the ring anyways. So I'm not the type of boxer to be talking and talk trash about my opponent. I'm more of a let my hands do the talking in the ring. I'm gonna be coming ready. I know he's gonna be coming ready, and I know we're gonna give the fans the fight of the night.
And it is going down July 15th. You will, of course, be able to do your talking in the ring. It's going down in Japan. So let me ask you this. We talked about middleweight and the weight for this fight. You've campaigned at 54, 160 now. You're only 23 years old. You're 6'1". So what's your overall plan in terms of weight class? Do you plan to stay at middleweight, campaign there? Do you want to move up in weight at some point in the future? What's your plan?
So we're gonna campaign in middleweight and see how long we last out here. And then if it's time to move up, eventually after a couple of years, we'll move up. But I don't see middleweight being the last weight class I'm in.
And you're going to obviously spend some time there now for this tournament, the prize fighter tournament. In terms of, your future goals in the sport of boxing, you're a young fighter, 23 years old, prospect, level, undefeated. What do you hope to achieve in the sport of boxing? What does success look like for you in boxing?
I hope to achieve greatness. So I wanna make my own legacy. I don't want to be striving to be like another boxer or striving to be like another fighter. I want to make my own style, and legacy. I want to win belts. I want to eventually, when you have one or two belts, you want to get all of them. So definitely the ultimate goal would always be to be undisputed.
In terms of this matchup, there's also a $100,000 knockout bonus that's going to be in play.
Yes.
And I know you mentioned you don't look for the knockout, but your last two fights were wins by first round knockout. So how much is that on your mind? The $100,000 knockout bonus.
So the $100,000 knockout bonus is always on the mind. That's just the extra push if you do see a leak in the armor, a crack in the armor of the opponent at any time that you see a switch that could be turned off. It's time to turn it off. But definitely it plays a role, but it doesn't play a big role that, oh, rush in and knock this guy out. No, it doesn't work like that. Definitely this is an IQ sport, and it's a test match. You can't just run in looking for the knockout.
We're going to see what happens on July 15th. We mentioned your last two outings in September of last year and December of last year were first round TKO wins for you. How do you look at that? Because in one way, that's amazing, especially for a young fighter to get those viral moments, those big knockouts, those trend on social media, and that's a good way to build your following. But at the same time, as a young fighter, I'm sure you also want to get rounds under your belt. So how do you manage the two in terms of getting the quick knockout versus also getting that professional experience?
So the last two were quick knockouts, but the one before that was against an undefeated fighter, a 9-0, and that was the full 8 rounds. That was a great experience. I want to say the fight before that was another 8 rounds or 6 rounds, full rounds. And I've gotten a lot of rounds over the years for sure. Definitely in sparring and definitely in fights as well. Some of the fights that I have won by knockout have been in the 6th round, have been in the 5th round.
So you've had experience up to this point, and you've won fights by knockout, but you've gone the distance. So you've had rounds under your belt at just 23 years old. We know a little bit about. We're learning about like your personality. Tell me a little bit about your nickname. How did it come together?
So El Rayo was actually from my father. Before it was El Rayo, it was Bam Bam because as a kid I used to break everything, and there was so much Bam Bam, so many Bam Bams that my father was like, "Yo, we can't do this." I was like 12 years old, 13 years old, and I wanted to be named Bam Bam, and that came. It was kind of like an after effect in the amateur fights. I got that when I was still in the amateurs. Actually, when I won the Sugarbird boxing tournament here in Florida for I want to say it was the 3rd or 4th time, and it was like that tournament from Friday to Sunday. It was a first round knockdown in the first fight, first round knockdown, second round stoppage, and then the next fight was a first round knockdown, second round stoppage, and it was always off of either a headshot that it would hit, they would take 2 or 3 steps, and then they would fall down, or the body shot, they would take like a step or two, and then they'd feel it. So it was kind of like that lightning effect. It was a shot that people don't see.
So you've had success, and that's helped dictate your nickname there, especially in the amateur ranks, and now as a professional. You mentioned I wanted to go back to something you said earlier. You had a lot of family and supporters coming with you to make this trip, and you're representing Puerto Rico, you're representing Florida, you're representing USA, you're representing BoxLab, and yes. Amari Pedro, who's the managing director of Caribe Royale, and heading BoxLab, he actually commented on you. He said Estela has a tremendous amount of charisma every time he steps in the ring. He's an exceptional talent. We trust he has what it takes to win this tournament. So let me ask you just a little bit about is there a little bit of pressure there because you have so many people coming with you to support you? You have all these expectations now, and it is $1 million first prize. How are you feeling with all the pressure for this fight?
So I don't look at it like pressure. I look at it like it's giving me more fuel, to the fires, giving me more reason to train, more reason to train hard. If I catch myself slacking, if I woke up feeling sore, I still have to get that work done. So I'm not just fighting for myself, as you said. It's $1 million grand prize, and that's life changing, not just for me, but for my family. My father that's been training me since 8, 9 years old. My mother that's been doing everything in the background, whether it's selling tickets, doing my sponsors, doing my outfits for the fight, cooking my meals. Like this is life changing for not only me, but definitely for my family as well.
You mentioned the sacrifice that your family had to make to get here, and I think there's so we see the final product, which is the fighter in
Yeah.
the ring. But you mentioned everything your mother did, and then your father, obviously your trainer. So I mean, how much of your success do you attribute to the folks around you? Obviously, you have to put in the hard work at the end of the day in the gym
Yeah.
and in the ring, but it's not possible without the folks around you. Is that your mindset on it?
Yeah, I completely agree with the statement. For sure, I'm the one that's in the ring. I'm the one that's fighting. I'm the one that gives the knockout. But if I don't prepare the way I prepare with my father, the way I prepare with my other coach Memo, the way I prepare with my coach Craig and my coach Rubio, if I don't get ready the way they want me to be ready or to the level that they're trying to get me to, the outcome isn't the same.
We're going to see all of that play out on July 15th. And like we said, this is the prize fighter tournament, 8 fighters, $1 million for the winner. Your first step is Aaron McKenna. Have you looked at any of the other fighters in this tournament and just done a little bit of scouting, or is that something that comes on July 16th and onward after this fight?
Exactly. So I've seen the names, I've seen the pictures of the people that could be potentially next, but I haven't been scouting. I haven't been looking at fights. No, my only opponent I have in the moment right now is Aaron McKenna, and all focus is on him. I wouldn't think of overlooking my opponent that I have now. All focus is on him, and that's from me, from my coaches. Everybody is focused on this fight. As you said, July 16th. I might not be thinking about the next opponent. I might be resting or looking around Japan, but definitely after like a week or so, we'll do our knowledge about the next opponent.
Yeah, I can hear from your voice and your work ethic. You started training at just age 8 and now 23 years old. And we've talked about everything you've achieved so far. Um, we can hear about your passion for this, and this moment, it just seems like such a big turning point in your career, based on what happened. So would you call
Yeah,
this essentially the, biggest moment of your career on July 15th
for
and
sure.
maybe even the biggest moment of your life?
For sure. So I said that. So the fight I got with the 9-0 opponent, I was saying, wow, this is the turning point. This is gonna open up a lot of doors. And we ended up winning that and we threw in a couple knockdowns as well. And we did an amazing performance, and that opened up the fight on September 23rd, which was the matchroom fight that I gave another first round knockout, and that one opened up this door. You know what I mean? So this is definitely going to open up a lot of doors. This is definitely the fight of my life. As I look at all of my fights as the fight of my life, you have to prepare for it. This is boxing. This isn't another sport that you play. This is a fighting sport. This is life or death for sure. So everything has to be in tune.
One thing I'm hearing about your story and your work ethic, right, is about you set your goal, obviously in professional boxing, but even the way you just described it there's a step-by-step process to that. And a
Yes,
lot of it sounds like what you had to do was put in the work and then show up and perform. And then, maybe the next opportunity presented itself. But
yeah,
to get that, you had to show up. And I
yeah,
wonder if there's a lesson in there. And I'm curious if you have any thoughts to people who may be listening to this, going, through their own journey in whatever they're choosing to do. But you have to be consistent. You have to show up, and you never know once you do that what opportunity will be presented to
exactly.
you on the other side of that. In your case, you were fighting in Florida locally, winning these fights, and you won 2 fights by spectacular knockout. You were offered an opportunity to now fly to Japan, fight on July
Yeah,
15th, and that could lead you to $1 million prize and life-changing money and life-changing notoriety. And then that's because you showed up to those fights
yeah,
beforehand. So I'm just wondering if you have any words to anyone who's listening to this, who's going through their own journey, and what to do on those days where you don't want to. You mentioned getting up at 4 or 5 a.m.
yeah.
before school to run. You don't always want to do that. So any words of wisdom from you?
Definitely to be strong. Definitely be strong with that mental part of the battle, because boxing, obviously, what you guys see is the physical part, us fighting in the ring, the knockout that we give or the knockdown that we give. But all the mental challenges that we went through during camp, the sparrings that was physical on our body, the waking up in the morning and we're super sore, have to do an ice bath recovery to then do it again. So it's very mentally challenging. So anybody that is on the same journey, they would understand. Anybody that's trying to make the same journey and does need help, I would say listen to your coaches and definitely push yourself to the max always. And if you think you push yourself to the max, push that extra.
It's well said. It's good advice, and a lot of great fighters, have followed that in the past. And obviously,
Yes.
you're on your own path and own journey, and you're doing great so far, and you have a massive opportunity here. So, for anyone listening to this, I think you're convinced enough to tune in on July 15th. But for anyone listening to this, give them that final sell of why they should tune in. It's July 15th. It's the Matchroom prize fighter tournament. There's $1 million first prize. There's knockout bonuses for over $100,000. It's on the zone. Why should people watch this fight?
People should watch it because it's going to be a clash of styles. It's going to be 18-0 versus 14-0, and all the other fights that are on the same card. But I'm definitely saying it from my heart that I know that this will be fight of the night.
It's going to be fight of the night. It's going to be, I'm sure, a spectacular event. Someone's is gonna be gone here because it's two undefeated fighters in their prime, fighting for a lot on the line. To close it out, for people who want to follow you and your journey, where can they connect with you, follow you on social, and where can they follow your journey?
So you can follow me on Instagram at Jeovanny Estela, JeovannyEstela, and at Impact Boxing and Fitness on Instagram as well.
I want to wish you best of luck on July 15th. It's going down in Japan. You're taking on undefeated Aaron McKenna. It's on the zone, Matchroom Boxing, $1 million prize fighter tournament. Best of luck to you. And, I want to congratulate you on everything you've achieved so far. And, obviously the journey here is just beginning, but a huge, huge moment here on July 15th. So it sounds like your head is in the right place. Sounds like training is in the right place. So I want to wish you best of luck. And I want to thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
I am Curran Bhatia, joined by Chris Diaz. Chris, we know you're fighting on July 13th on the undercard of Boots Ennis on the zone. It's going to be a big event. Chris, how are you doing, my friend?
Everything good, man. Ready to rumble. We've been training for more than 6 weeks. I'm being focused all this time. The opportunity came, we grabbed it, and now we're just waiting the show time.
And we know that you've been in this game for a little bit here. You're 29 years old. You've had 32 fights as a professional, 28-4 with 18 knockouts. So you've an active fighter. You've been in there with some of the best fighters in the game, with Emmanuel Neferrete, Shakur Stevenson, many others. So how would you describe where you're at in your career? You're not a young gun prospect, but you're not like a veteran either. You have a lot of professional experience. So how do you look at where you're at right now?
So right now, to be honest, I took a break of 2 years. Last 2 years, I take them off because I got a hand surgery. But it's time to get what is mine. I'm in there with the big dogs. Like you said, I made almost fight of the year with Emmanuel Navarrete in 2022. I fought Shakur Stevenson. If you see the fight against Valdez and Shakur Stevenson and Valdez and Navarrete, I make better fight for both of them. I've been tested a couple of times with big champions. And to be honest, right now in my career, I feel like a new thing, and I feel like a different vibe in my career, like personal, my soul. I feel different, the way I train, the way I'm motivated, and I think this is the fight that is going to get me to the world title.
You fought in May of 2022. That was a win at Crib Royale. And then you did have the break that you talked about. And we know you were in action earlier this year in March, and you won by second round TKO. So tell me about the momentum a little bit. It sounds like you had the layoff, you got your injury squared away, and then you came back with a TKO in the second round. So I'm guessing you're feeling pretty good about the momentum right now.
Yeah, it's a God plan. I'm just following the lead. Letting him do the job, because right now we're just gonna be a fighter that night that is gonna show the world what God can do with a life if you put your mirror or your eyes in God. And it's just being like an example with the kids, and stay away from the street and all that. But to be honest, that night's gonna be mine, and I feel so proud that I'm gonna be in that event, because it's a huge event. Because Aaron Janney's got plenty of followers, and but it's a bless to be part of this career, and this fight is gonna be great for both sides and in Puerto Rico history.
And I wanted to ask you about that before we talk about your upcoming fight. You're from Puerto Rico, and
Yep.
we've seen so many great fighters come out of Puerto Rico, both past champions and legends, and all even active fighters. There's a lot of great young fighters from Puerto Rico. It's a boxing hotbed. I've spent a lot of time down there, and the culture is just so intertwined with boxing.
Yep.
You mentioned staying out of the streets and inspiring others, and I'm just curious about your own journey. What was it like? Was boxing a way to keep yourself on a straight path, and how did boxing play itself into your life as you were growing up?
So, I came from a little country in Puerto Rico called the Barranquitas. And I was raised with, my family members are really down the pipe. Like everybody said, they like everything well. They rise up us with good beginnings, like much love, peace, believing in God, and great kids always. But my mom turned me into boxing because I was too aggressive when I was young because I lost my father. My father passed away when I was 8 years old, and that really affected my life. But I get into boxing, and then I love boxing from the first day, and just back. I mean, back to where I belong, and I think my family, me, and all people around me deserve me being a world champion.
And I'm sure that boxing was such a big part of your life then and now, and you've done very well in the professional ranks. We talked about some of the opposition that you've taken on the highest possible level. I was curious. We mentioned Emmanuel Navarrete, Shakur Stevenson. What did you learn being in there fighting some of these great fighters, these champions? What did you learn being in there with them?
Shakur Stevenson teach me a lot about. I mean, you got Masayuki Ito too. That was the first world title fight. That I was not a 130 pounder, and I went up to him weight just because the opportunity, and I learned from that. Because sometimes when you just take opportunities because you see it well, it doesn't mean that it's gonna come out good, And I take my first loss with Navarrete, with Masayuki Ito, and then I fought Shakur Stevenson, and I learned a lot. I mean, I think during the process, I'm being tested with the biggest fighters right now because I'm on 130. Who can be Emmanuel Navarrete in 130? Right now, he's one of the biggest or dangerous guys at 130. You got Shakur Stevenson at 135, two-time division world champion, and no, three times division world champion, and Navarrete, three-time division world champion. I got Isaac Inoue, no, Isaac Dogbe, that he was former world champion also. So, and I think I don't lost that fight. There's still the fight from me. I always say that fight, I win the fight. And with Dogbe, it was some hands into it because I was the one that win the fight that night. So to be honest, I got only 3 losses, but the 3 losses I learned a lot. One, because I just take the fight without being at 130, and then you just learn from the experience of Shakur Stevenson. He's a great champion. And like I said, I only lost with the big guys, and this is another one that he's going to test me to the best.
And speaking of being tested, so on July 13th, you're taking on Henry LeBron, who's undefeated. He's 19-0, 10 knockouts. And we know that this is going to be a big test, a big opportunity for you. It is going down on the undercard of Boots Ennis on July 13th on the Zone. Now, he's also from Puerto Rico. He's a tough fighter. He's a southpaw. He's only 26 years old. So what do you know about your opponent, and how are you preparing for him?
It's a southpaw fighter that he likes to box. He got really good techniques. I know him for many years. His cousin, him, his family. I would not say friends, but he's a great guy. I think it's gonna be a great fight. We both got something to prove to the world, and it's just gonna be. To be honest, this fight remind me when Cotto fought with Quintana, two Puerto Ricans. I mean, this could be a world champion fight. Right now, we are just like a title eliminator because he's gonna be put us in the first or second place for the to fight for the world title. But this is a fight like it could be for the world title because he got talent, he got something to prove, and I'm super hungry. I want to show the world that I belong to these leagues and these fights, and I think it's gonna be the fight of the night.
I'm sure it's going to be a spectacular event. What does it mean to be not just fighting an undefeated fighter from Puerto Rico, but just to be on this card in this event? There's going to be a lot of eyeballs. It's on the zone. We know that Boots Ennis, he's signed with Matchroom now, and so obviously there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on his Matchroom debut here. What does it mean to be part of this event and this card in Philadelphia?
It means a lot. I got my family in Philadelphia. I was born in Philly. And then I just moved when I was like a year and a half to Puerto Rico. So but man, it's gonna be amazing. I think it's a big, huge opportunity. Like you said, so there's gonna be a lot of eyeballs watching the fights. Like I said, it's one more opportunity to get me to the big leagues to fight for world title again. And I will appreciate the opportunity with Eddie Hearns and Kevin Roney, my promoter and management. It's a bless. It's a bless to be part of this event, and I will handle it like the way it's supposed to be handled. So we got to give a great show to the fans.
And with Henry LeBron also being from Puerto Rico, have you overlapped at all with him in the past? Do you have a familiarity with him?
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I know his aunt, his uncle. I know his cousin. I know him. Great kid, great guy. We just here feeding the family. It's nothing personal. I never been like that. I always been a gentleman when it comes to my professional career, to my life, for my family. I'm always the same guy. So just because one fight is not gonna give me like the friendship away, because I'm not the type of guy. But the bell rings. We just both guys working for our family, and that's whoever wins that night is gonna take just like a memory for Puerto Rico fights against Puerto Ricans, and it just take the price. We just working for the same goal.
And speaking of whoever wins that night, do you have an official prediction of what's going to happen on July 13th?
So to be honest, I'm not the type of guy to like to talk a lot about what's going to happen in the fight or what's not going to happen. But I will promise you, it will be fireworks. Because when Christopher Pitufo Diaz being in big stadium like MDM, Madison Square Garden, being main event here in Florida, I always put in a show. And people know when Pitufo is on top of the ring, blood is gonna come. It's gonna be a great fight, and it could still the fight of the night.
I'm sure it's going to be a great matchup. Where in terms of the fights that you've had, we talked about some of those names. You've challenged for a world title, so you've had a lot of big opportunities. This is a big opportunity as well. It's an undefeated fighter. This would be a huge win for you. Where does this fight rank in terms of all the opportunities and fights that you've had so far in your career?
To be honest, I was in the process to realize that I'm in, I would say, better position than before. Because now I'm like more mentality focused. I'm just, I said, I got a line that says happy soul, happy mind, happy soul. And I feel the way I'm feeling right now, it's the time. I mean, it wasn't back before, it's now. I live the present. I will love and I will enjoy every minute of the fight. It's a blessed to be back. And then so quick, big in the league that I deserve to be. I mean, it's just a bless coming from God, and I will appreciate it, and I will handle it the right way.
It's going to be a great matchup, a great card overall, top to bottom. You mentioned your nickname. So what does your nickname mean, and why did you choose that nickname?
So my nickname is Pitufo. That means Smurf. Smurf, the like the movies, right? The little Smurf. Yeah. So my father passed away. But when he was rising and rising up, and his friends and all that call him nickname Pitufo, because he was little like me, but he was fighting too much in the street. And they were saying like, this guy is little, so we're gonna call him Pitufo, because Pitufo, they always fighting with Gargamel, and they don't care. So he was the same way, and just he passed away, and then I took the nickname to put it, it's glory, and I said, so every time I step in the ring, telling him that I'm there because I want to make him proud. So that's the whole point.
I'm sure he's watching down and proud of everything you achieved. And this is just another step on your journey. Speaking of these, opportunities that you've had and continue to have, you've gotten close to that world title level. You've competed for it, but it's been a little bit out of your grasp. If you are successful on July 13th, does that get you closer to that world title? And how badly do you want that, being so close to it so many times? I'm sure that you just feel like you're knocking on the door of getting a world title.
Yeah, correct. So I'm feeling, it just I know I'm gonna win the fight because I'm being built for this. I've been working super hard for this moment, and I just want Lamar Roach. Lamar Roach, after this fight, right away, he just fought the other day. I'm number 5 in WBA, number 6, if I'm not mistaken. Um, right now he made the mandatory defense. Now he can choose. So Puerto Rico against USA. I mean, it will be a great scenario. I bring a lot of fans to the stadium. I've been proved that the TV will deserve a war. It will see a war that night, and I think Lama Roach is the perfect opponent for Christopher Diaz became world champion that night. And if you don't want to fight, I want to, fight Oscar Valdez. Mexico, Puerto Rico will be great fucking fight. I think that fight is going to be a fight for the story of Mexico and Puerto Rico, because it's really, really 50-50 fight. We got the same style. We got the same, courage inside the rings. And I think me and Valdez, that fight got to happen before I retire.
We know that there's such a rich history there between Mexico and Puerto Rico, and certainly that fight would play right into that. In terms of competitive, exciting matchups. We mentioned Caribe Royale earlier, and we know that you're signed with BoxLab Promotions. Amari Pedro and the team there are doing great things at Caribe Royale. It's become like a boxing hotbed of just young talent. So what has it been like working with BoxLab Promotions and getting into that whole ecosystem?
So, I got a good relationship with Amaury Piedra and Tito, Eric. They got a really good team. To be honest, they've been helping me a lot. And I've been without boxing 2 years because I take the break. First people I called was them. They was there for me waiting the call. Because to be honest, I'm a really good guy to make business. I let them do their work. I'm just here, team behind. I will say, like, I take them as a family members, and this is business. But sometimes putting that sauce into the business and being like seeing them like a family members, it will mean a lot for me to have them the team around me. So they are a good team. They're making good things in here in Florida for the fighters, and many things coming for BoxLab. They're gonna have the first world champion, and that's gonna be Christopher Diaz.
What I'm sensing from you, just speaking to you in this conversation, it feels like you're a fighter that will take on any comers. And it feels like, you fear no man, and you want to be in there with the best no matter what. Win, lose, or draw, you're going to put it all out there. That's what I'm sensing. Is that your mindset?
Yeah, always. I mean, if you see from my first fight, I never fought a bum. The only bum I fought, it was the last fighter, and I took it because in the record it says that Gio Cabrera the fought with Isaac Cruz. So he went 7 rounds with Cabrera. So I said, this guy giving 7 rounds, probably 5, 6, it will be good to me because I come from a big layover. So it will be good. They're gonna give me some rounds. But when I see him fighting, so I just take him out in 2 rounds because that's the way you gotta handle those type of guys. And but if you see all my career, I've been fighting with Mexicans, 30 fights, 7 losses with 15 KOs. I got Ray Jimenez, undefeated fighter, 13-0. I fought Gallardo, and I've been fighting with tough guys. And by the time I was fighting 6 rounds, 8 rounds, and I keep making good fights. Giving KOs in ESPN. And I always, when I come to fight, I come super ready. I demonstrate to people and I give the people what they deserve. And to be honest, this is right now people is just boxing and making the fight boring and whatever, and saying that this is a game plan. Yeah, it's a game plan, but you got to give the fan, if you want to be successful in this career, you got to give the fan what they want to see. If you want to box, fine, box well. have them make have them make fun of this moment. And when Pitufos are fighting, they always been on top of the share because they want to see like big punches coming, war all the way around, and that's the way you got to handle business in TV to be famous.
It's certainly a big part of boxing is not only what you do in the ring, but the marketing aspect of it, being a fan friendly fighter, having these viral moments. I think in
Yep.
modern day boxing, that's a big part of it, and certainly it
Yep.
seems like you're grasping the business side of boxing as well. Just speaking about mindset as well, you mentioned earlier, happy mind, happy soul, and I think it's a very obviously it's a tough time for a lot of people. With so many things going on in the world and things like that, and you've made you've chosen one of the hardest professions there is. You have to get punched in the face for
Yeah.
a living.
Yep.
You've chosen to compete and for our entertainment, right? As spectators, we get to watch you compete, and watch these warriors step into the ring. So I'm just curious if you have any words of wisdom to people watching on their own journey, how to stay positive when things aren't easy, and how to keep going, and everything that you believe in. If you had any words of wisdom to people listening.
So I will say my story in just 2 3 minutes. I was in a big depression. I was passing like hard time anxieties. Um, my whole world went down. I went almost bankrupt, like $0 in my account. I went to work to Uber and finding moments out and being happy, just a couple moments. And I just start believing more in God, and that's it's a process for everyone. Everyone has a moment to shine in their life. We got to see it coming. We got to take the opportunity because sometimes you hear about the story that the man was almost dying swimming, and God sent him 2 boats, and he never jumped on it because he said he got faith in God. Yeah, God sent you 2 boats, and you never jump on it because your faith in God. So sometimes you got to action that and see with more eye opens that God send you signals, and you got to find a way out to be happy. Like I said, right now I don't see the problem. I see the solution, and being like that and living the life like that is giving me better. I would say I'm in my peak right now. I'm being a better father, being a better brother, being a better son, being a better friend, and that's what we hear in the world. We're here just to share people happiness. Because when you find happiness, that's the balance of life. Because it's not how much money you have, it's not who is whatever name. It's just being happy with yourself. Look into the mirror every morning and say, I love this man. Because that's me. That's my personality. That's Christopher Diaz. And like you said, me and you talking right now. I don't know you, but if you see me one day, I will hook you. What's up, bro? Nice meeting you. Thank you for the opportunity for the interview. That's the way I am. And I just be an example with the kids because that's the way we gotta live. Life is one. We gotta enjoy it the right way, and putting God always first because that's the only out. It's God, nothing more than that. And people sometimes find looking for happiness with materials and money, and I would say streets, drugs, whatever. But God is the solution. That's the man, and that's my story.
And
And I'm happy right now.
you're inspiring so many, and it sounds like obviously you're a man of faith, and with a spiritual view. You've said it's not just prayer, but you got to take action as well, and you're doing that, and you're also following a spiritual path, so I commend you for doing so. You're certainly becoming a role model for the youth. You mentioned, just staying on that theme, you mentioned your dad's passing when you were younger, and obviously I'm sure that was very traumatic, but it seems like in a way you in a spiritual sense as well, you're using that as motivation.
Yep.
I'm sure he's watching you from above, and seeing what you'd have achieved. You've challenged for world titles. You're continuing. You have this big opportunity coming up in July. What do you think he would think right now about everything you've achieved in the ring?
I think he's super proud of me. I think he knew that I can reach to these levels in boxing. And every time I hear Christopher Pitufo Diaz in when they announce me in the ring, it's just you're gonna see me pointing to the sky to make him know, Daddy, I'm here, and I'm keeping trying to always find a way to win life correctly. And I love boxing. You know, right now I don't see boxing because money, and I'm just having fun, like living the moment and telling God thank you because He gave me the opportunity to be back what I'm doing and to share the world to find happiness. And that's the only way is God. Like I tell you, when I win July 13th, I will grab the microphone. And that's the first thing I'm gonna say. Thank you, Jesus, because without Him, nothing of this will be possible. And sometimes people just think because they are talented and whatever things is happening. No, it's somebody up there watching us and putting blessing in our life. So we gotta look up and say thank you.
You mentioned July 13th and your plan to be victorious and get on that mic. Anyone listening to this, I think, is sold on this fight, but just in case anyone who's listening to this, give them the final sell. Why should they tune in on to the Zone on July 13th and watch your fight?
Go to YouTube and see my fights with Navarrete and Shakur Stevenson and the big fighters in the sport. I'm coming to boxing just to make the people know I'm gonna be world champion. And July 13th is gonna be fireworks. And I would say it could be the fight of the night. Even if Aaron Jennings is fighting, but Philly, a bunch of Puerto Ricans. It's gonna be two Puerto Ricans fighting, undefeated, but against I would say underdog, right? I don't know how to call myself because the undefeated fighter is always in the A side, but I'm coming for everything. This is the moment. Losses, it doesn't mean nothing. It means experience. It means respect. And that night, I will show all those losses give me something for that night to be separate than Henry LeBron.
100%. I think the losses that you have just showed that you challenge yourself at the highest level and you're getting better and you're using that as motivation to continue on in your career. So what would you say to your opponent, Henry LeBron? He's undefeated. It's going to be, both from Puerto Rico. You're familiar with each other. What would be your message to him if he was listening?
Just train hard. Train hard. I'm doing the same way. I'm taking this fight super seriously. God bless your family. God bless you. We always here just to bring food to the table for our families and children's. But it is what it is. Bell rings. No friends, we fighting. After the last bell rings, or it goes decision or KO, we just hook like a brothers. It's just business. But July 13th will be fireworks.
Going to be fireworks July 13th. Finally, just to close it out, anyone listening to this, if they want to follow your journey, where can they connect with you on social? How can they follow your journey?
So Facebook, I got a Facebook fan page, Christopher Pitufo Diaz. Pitufo is Pitufo. And Instagram, Rio Pitufo Diaz. You follow me there. We having some videos to show the people that the life I live inside of boxing, showing how I grew up in Barranquitas and the process to the big fights. And I'm just doing like a little 24/7 before my each fight to the world title. So it's gonna be good. You guys gonna love it, and I'll wait the followers. I'm gonna show the guys that are built for this.
It was a great show, 24/7. I want to thank you so much for your time, Chris Diaz. Your next step on your journey, July 13th, you're taking on undefeated Henry LeBron. This is going down in Philadelphia. It's going to be on the Zone. Wishing you all the best, and I want to thank you for everything you're doing, for inspiring others, for everything that you've been through. I think it's great, and I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. And I'm sure you're going to keep knocking on those world title ambitions. So the next stop on July 13th. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it, man.